Hello, and welcome to this full lecture on how to write an abstract for master's students, PhD students, postdoc researchers, and professors. My name is Antony P., and I will be your personal presenter for today. I have a Master's of Science in Education with experience teaching English in Japan and online to ESL students from around the world, including from Korea, Taiwan, China, and others. I am also a representative of Uni-edit. Uni-edit is a top-tier English editing and translation service that reliably delivers language services that meet your needs. We have over 100 editors with research experience in every academic field, making editing all types of academic manuscripts our specialty. Today's lesson will be extensive as I worked directly with our chief editor, Ozzy Abram, to bring you the best content on the internet. So get comfortable, grab some snacks and your notebook, because we have a lot to cover. Here is our lecture plan today. What is to abstract? Types of abstracts. What is an abstract? Goals of the abstract, keywords and indexing, language style, length, structure, common mistakes, an exercise, and writing process and improvements. All right, before we get started, if you enjoy this free content, please hit like and subscribe to support me and this channel. Now let's talk about what to abstract means. The prefix ab means away. For example, the word abnormal means away from normal or not normal. And tact means to move or to have grip, like traction, tractor, attract. So to abstract means to move away and separate. Pronunciation. There is a pronunciation difference between these two. To abstract, verb, versus abstract, noun. The top, to abstract, and abstract. To abstract, abstract. To abstract, abstract. Hear the difference? All right, here is a thinking exercise. If I asked you to describe the car on the left, you would probably be able to spend an hour talking about all of the details you can see. You can talk about the shape and contours, the colors, and maybe even the materials used. But what about the smaller car? The car we have moved away from. If I asked you to describe this car, you could do so very quickly. We can see it has yellow color with black tires, and that's about it. The smaller car on the right is analogous or similar to the abstract of your paper. You will move away from the detailed body of your paper, the photo of the large car, and describe the same contents more simply, the photo of the smaller car. Here is the same car again, with other images all having different amounts of detail. Now if we label all of these cars, we can see a child's abstract on the bottom right and a real photo on the top left with everything in between. So what's the difference between all of these? Well, the realistic drawing takes a long time, maybe even half a day to complete. The cartoon may take only an hour and potentially 20 minutes for the technical drawing, and the schematic drawing in the middle would only take a couple of minutes, and the child's abstract can be completed in seconds. None of these images are better than the other, and what is important here is that we can save time by drawing a child's abstract while still creating an image of a car. Another way we can visualize an academic abstract is to think of a window in your room. In the morning, you can take a look and see the sky and what the weather is like. From your observations, you can make a decision on what you can do that day and what you might want to wear. Therefore, an abstract is a window through which readers can easily see if they want to read the full paper or not. An abstract is a window into your research. This might be the most important slide in this presentation for you to understand. You are going to spend weeks and months working on your paper, but your abstract will be the deciding factor for authors considering to read your full paper. It's that simple. People across the world will judge your entire paper based on how well your abstract is written. Remember this, because you might be so focused on writing the rest of your paper that you rush through your abstract. A bad abstract can ruin your paper's chances of being read because the abstract is the window that the world is going to see your paper through. All right, so here are the different types of abstracts. In general, there are more similarities between these abstracts than there are differences. The differences may be in the word count or the format that is expected. For example, if you are submitting an abstract for a conference, you will be given specific guidelines to follow in that process. If you graduate from your master's and begin your doctoral dissertation, congratulations, your abstract will be a bit different, so you should study and look up some examples for your field each time. All of these abstracts will be a window into your content, and all of these will be the reader's first exposure to your material. Now for the definition of an abstract. An abstract is a self-contained, short, and definitive summary that describes the full contribution or content of an academic publication. Generally, as the first section of a scholarly article, an abstract is considered as a standalone type of document. The important point here is that the abstract contains the key details of the paper without providing too much detail. The challenge for you, the author, is to determine which details to include in the abstract and which to omit. All right, an abstract is not a review. It's important for you to understand your three audiences. Your title audience, those are the people who read the title of your paper. The abstract audience, these are the people who read your abstract. And the article audience, these are the people who read your whole article. Let's look at the title audience. How many people will read the title of your article? Let's say after 5 years, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands. If the paper is really good, this can happen. Now, how many people are going to read your abstract? Probably much less. Certainly less than 1,000 for a specialized paper. Maybe only 200 people in the world will read yours. And how many people will read your entire article? Very few. Maybe none. Maybe 100. It can depend on how impactful your research is. The point I'm trying to make here is that the people who read your full paper will be very different from the people that read your abstract, and those people will be very different from the people that read your title. So when we write an abstract, we're writing for a very different audience from the people that read your title or your full article. Although an abstract contains the key terms and frameworks found in the main paper, the abstract should be regarded as an original text rather than merely an extracted content. So if you look here, I've underlined ab in abstract and x in extract. Ab is different from X because when you use extract, you're just taking pieces from one section and moving them to another, like copy-paste. In this case, an author might try to take a sentence from their introduction and paste it into the abstract, and then take a sentence from their methodology and paste that into their abstract as well. This is not a good practice. An abstract is when you move away from your article, then describe what you are seeing. Compared to extract, an abstract will stand alone and have a clearer picture for the reader who does not read your full paper. Moving forward, an abstract is an original text that does a lot of work. An abstract is an original work, and an abstract is not an excerpted passage. Although an abstract is brief, it must do almost as much work as a multi-page paper. What does this mean? It means that when 20 or 30 people read your entire paper, they're going to learn about your research, and that is very powerful, as your research could change their research, and maybe they will have a new research problem or extend upon your research. But maybe hundreds are going to read your abstract, And your abstract could also influence those readers and influence their work or their thinking. So the abstract does its own unique piece of work to a much bigger audience than the actual paper does. All right, on to the goals of an abstract. When I'm reading an abstract, I'm thinking, should I read the entire article? I want to know if the information in your paper is relevant to the work that I'm doing, and a good abstract should give you a clear indication if the paper is going to be useful for your purposes. I will also be making a judgment on the trustworthiness of your work. When I read an abstract, especially as a native speaker, I'm looking at the language. I'm looking at how well it's written, and I'm deciding if I can trust the author by the way she writes. If the English is challenging, my first impressions of that author won't be very good. And lastly, is the abstract interesting? If your abstract isn't interesting, then I will assume that your article won't be interesting either. How technical and sophisticated. If the abstract is too technical, I might say the paper is too detailed for me, and it's going to take hours for me to understand the information being presented. But if the abstract is too simple, I will think that there won't be enough detail or information for me to use in my work. It's a balance. Goals of the abstract, part 2. Screening by journals. Most journals will ask for an abstract submission as one of the first stages in their publishing review process. If an abstract is well written and relevant, you will proceed to the review stage, or your paper could be rejected. Similarly, your paper may be screened by a conference committee. Based on your abstract, you may be accepted or rejected. Conferences and journals receive thousands of abstracts for review, so small mistakes or a lack of clarity could easily lead your paper to the rejection bin. Another goal of the abstract is to easily remember core findings. When you're doing your own research, you will read dozens of abstracts and dozens of papers. Keep a copy of the abstract after you read the full paper. Save and index all of the abstracts you read. Consider highlighting key information from each. This is so you don't reread the same abstract 5 or 6 times in the writing process. Okay, goals of an abstract, part 3. A goal of your research should be to utilize search engine optimization techniques. Using relevant terms and phrases in your field makes it easy to scan hundreds of abstracts online to find relevant research. Next is abstract cross-referencing. Cross-referencing dozens of articles helps researchers discover new research areas and topics that were previously unknown when they began their research. All right, goals of an abstract, part 4. Academic institutions and corporations will often publish abstracts and make them available to other researchers. And this is because the abstract sells your work. It functions as an advertisement, and a great abstract will sell your full research. You may have an excellent paper and a mediocre abstract, and we don't want your abstract to deter potential readers that could find your information very useful. So far, we have talked about what an abstract is, how to think about an abstract regarding the rest of your paper, and the goals of an abstract. Now we're going to talk about what an abstract does, how to write an abstract, and we will discuss the language of a great abstract. This is also a great time to remind you that liking this video and subscribing to support our channel is a great way to support me and this free content. I hope you have learned a lot so far. Now let's go learn some more. All right, first up, abstracts save time. In this fast-paced digital world, abstracts empower researchers and readers to cut to the chase and allow for quick decision-making. And this is why, although they're brief and to the point, abstracts are truly indispensable to every scholar, researcher, student, and anyone seeking valuable information. Now, a reader finds the title here in 1 second. They read the abstract in 1 minute and they decide whether or not to read the article, which might take 1 hour. So there's the decision. In a few seconds, people determine if they want to read for 1 minute to determine if they want to read for 1 hour. So you could say the title needs to be perfect, and then the abstract you want to make good, and the last thing to worry about is the paper in terms of quality. Okay, let's talk about abstracts and reputations. If you want to have a good career in academia, you need to respect other academics in everything you do. Well-written abstracts show respect for other researchers because you will be saving them time by providing them with clear and concise information, and this will aid in their research process. A great way to earn respect in your field is to write your abstract well, because this will lead to a good first impression. After you have read 100 or 200 papers, you will start to recognize the authors that are producing work you love to read. And eventually, you will go straight for the author's new work when you have enjoyed their past work. All right, how many articles are out there in the world? Well, 2,500,000 articles each year are written on science and engineering. That's a ton. And in China alone, there were over 500,000 papers published in 1 year just in the fields of science and engineering. And I don't know, maybe there are over 100 million papers published total. This publishing pace is predicted to increase over time, and abstracts will continue to grow in importance as they aid in the difficult research process. And because of this, we need to talk about indexing. Many times, the abstract will be published by itself in an index to the article, and often only the words in the abstract can be searched using library databases. Hence, the abstract is critical to a paper's future. Most academic journal databases accessed through the library enable you to search abstracts. This allows for quick retrieval by users. Abstracts must also incorporate the key terms that a potential researcher would use to search. Our next section is about keywords. These keywords are the most important and relevant phrases and words in your research. These keywords are used in indexing and online searches. They are also used to assign papers to review committees, so the people reviewing your paper are the ones with the most relevant experience in your field. Will your set of keywords be truly unique? This is a good question, and the simple answer is probably not. And that is because if you used all unique words, your paper may never be found in a search engine. Now for a note on an abstract being rejected by a journal or conference. When submitting to scholarly publications, consider that many rejections of academic contributions are due to poorly written abstracts. So, your paper might be great, but it gets rejected because of your abstract. And misleading abstracts can lead to rejection of a manuscript. Make sure that the resulting conclusions in the abstract are the same as in the paper. This problem is quite common, and when it happens is that people write their paper, then their abstract, and then make some edits to their paper without also reflecting those edits in their abstract. For example, trust in your writing could be completely destroyed if you have something like a 12% increase listed in your abstract, but an 11% increase listed in your paper. Next section, when to write an abstract. You should write your abstract last, after the paper is drafted, even though you will place the abstract at the beginning of your paper. This is because your article determines your abstract, and your abstract does not determine the article. All right, here's our next slide, a strong abstract. A strong abstract tells the reader what to expect. It summarizes the contributions of past research. It attracts the reader to read the full paper. It has just enough quantitative results. It is fully self-contained, and it makes sense all by itself. It's important to note that after someone reads your abstract, they should understand everything about your research except for the details. Next, understand that abstracts differ by field. Parts of an abstract vary according to discipline. Social sciences or scientific research abstracts may contain the motivation, problem, results, and discussion. Humanities abstracts may include the problem or hypothesis, background, and conclusion. So when you're learning about what to include in your abstract, be sure to copy the structure of an abstract that is exactly in your field. Language style for the abstract. Search and use exact phrases so they will turn up at the top of a search listing. Key terms. Each sentence typically represents a section of your paper. There is room for creativity as parts may be merged or spread among a set of sentences. Staccato style is acceptable, as flow is less important in an abstract. Okay. Language style of an abstract continued. Be concise. Long sentences don't really help the reader understand what you want to say to them. Concise sentences make sense. Be authoritative. Correct example, we implemented a novel approach and evaluated efficiency gains. Weak example, we attempted to try. When you use authoritative language, that builds trust between the reader and you. In academia, authoritative does not mean bossy. It means I know what I am writing and I am confident in my research. Language style for the abstract continued. Don't provoke readers into searching for more info by using vague and unclear language. Weak example, a significant improvement in. Don't compliment your work. Avoid jargon and abbreviations. Okay, length of the abstract. Here are 3 different abstracts, and there's a long one, and a medium one, and a short one, and they're all good and they're all correct. It just depends on where the abstract is going. Always make sure to read the requirements carefully. This may mean you have a few different abstracts for the same paper if you will be sending it to different places. Now for the fun part. Frame your abstract like an article. Follow a standard checklist. Frame your abstracts in a way that your article is written. Here's what I mean. Structure of a research article. Here are the main sections of a research article. Motivation. What is the importance of the research? Why would a reader be interested in the larger work? Problem. What does the work attempt to solve? What is the scope of the project? What is the main argument, thesis, or claim? Methodology. Specific models or approaches used, or the types of evidence used in the research. Results, specific data that indicates the result of the project. Discussion, interpret the results to reach the main conclusions. How does this work add to the body of knowledge? Practical or theoretical applications from your findings or implications for future research. And your conclusion is a short summary. These are the sections of most papers you will write, but they are also the sections of your abstract. Now, let's talk about each of these sections more specifically. All right, structure of an abstract. Motivation section. Why do we care about the problem and the results? Why is it interesting? What's the importance of your work, the difficulty of the area, and the impact it might have if successful? Reason for conducting the research. Never lose sight of why the research was conducted. This is important because you will obviously know why your research is important, but you also need to be able to communicate that to the readers. All right, structure of an abstract, problem statement. What problem are you trying to solve? What is the scope of your work? Is it a generalized approach or for a specific situation? Be careful not to use too much jargon. For some cases, put the problem statement before the motivation. But usually this only works if most readers already understand why the problem is important. All right, structure of an abstract, methodology, also called approach. How did you go about solving or making progress on the problem? Did you use simulation analytic models, prototype construction, or analysis of field data for an actual project? What was the extent of your work? What important variables did you control, ignore, or measure? All right, structure of an abstract, results. What's the answer to your research question? Did your study find it was faster, more efficient, safer, cheaper, more reliable? Here is where you will use the main numerical results. Avoid vagueness such as very, small, or significant. Some abstracts may discuss the findings in a more general way. It's all right. Structure of an abstract. Now, finally, the discussion section. What are the implications of your answer? Is it going to change the world? Unlikely. Be a significant win? Be a nice hack? Are your results general, potentially generalizable, or specific to a particular case? And ramifications. What changes could be implemented as a result of the findings of the work? How does this work add to the body of knowledge on the topic? Now for an exercise. We will take a look at an abstract. See if you can identify these in the abstract. Structure, motivation, problem statement, scope of study, method, results, discussion, implications, recommendations, conclusion. Language, concise, authoritative, specific, searchable phrases. Does it have just enough quantitative results? Is it fully self-contained? Does it make sense all by itself? Is it free of jargon and abbreviations? Okay, let's look for these in our next slide. Here is a well-written abstract example. I will read all of this out loud, but feel free to pause the video to read it at your own pace. Do your best to identify the parts of the abstract we just mentioned as I read it. Okay, title, a chatbot system to support mine safety procedures. Abstract, this study developed a chatbot to improve the efficiency of government activation of mine safety procedures during natural disasters. Taiwan has a comprehensive government system dedicated to responding to frequent natural disasters, and the Bureau of Mines has instituted clear procedures to ensure the delivery of disaster alarms and damage reports. However, the labor and time consumption procedures are inefficient. In this study, we propose a system framework for disaster-related information retrieval and immediate notifications to support the execution of mine safety procedures. The framework utilizes instant messaging (IM) applications as the user interface to look up information and send messages to announce the occurrence of disaster events. We evaluated the efficiency of the procedures before and after adopting the system and achieved a time cost reduction of 55.8 minutes among 3 types of disaster events. All right, let's have a look at the parts of this abstract. So for this abstract, it is only 135 words, so it's on the shorter side, and that's okay. Our first sentence here is a very clear introduction telling us what the study did. The second sentence has some history which sets the stage nicely for the problem statement, which comes next. So this is your problem statement. Immediately after the problem statement is the method of how this study attempted to solve the problem. We then get some more information on their potential solution before just enough quantitative results. For searchable phrases, maybe we have chatbot, mine safety procedures, and natural disasters as being the most common here. Lastly, this is a clearly self-contained abstract. We have the history, the problem, the solution, and the results. If I wanted more details on the specifics, I could read the paper. But the abstract does a lot of work to give me clear, concise information. What's missing from this abstract? A discussion section. But I took a look at the paper and the discussion was missing there as well. So there is no problem with this abstract missing a discussion section. I hope this activity was helpful for you. You can do this with other abstracts on your own for more practice. If you want some individualized coaching on your abstract, visit www.uni-edit.net/lessons to have me or another great editor help you out. All right, we aren't done yet. Common mistakes for abstracts. Mistake number 1, not enough attention to writing. The abstract is usually the first thing people read before going through an entire article. Make sure you take your time and write your abstract with care, and not at the last minute. Mistake number 2, English grammar or syntax errors. These instantly lose the trust of the reader. Common mistakes for abstracts continued. Mistake 3, withholding main points or concepts to catch the reader's attention. Some abstract writers deliberately hold back some or all the key information of their abstracts to provoke people to read the entire article. Abstracts should be factual and on point. They are not PR pieces for works of fiction. Common mistakes continued. Mistake 4, including paragraphs. When academic and professional institutions, indexing services, and libraries begin storing abstracts on online databases, the practice of separating abstracts into several paragraphs stopped. Mistake number 5, using the first sentence of an article as the first line of its abstract. A clear sign of sloppy, lazy work is recycling the same sentences to introduce abstracts. Common mistakes continued. Mistake 6, including references. Unless the conference you are proposing to publish for requires it, never put any reference in your abstract. Mistake 7, wasting introduction sentences. Lead sentences should be clear and specific, not too general. And our last slide on common mistakes for abstracts. Mistake 8, too many abbreviations, jargon, and language shortcuts. Mistake 9, referencing a table, figure, or any part of the main document. All right, so we just talked about the types of abstracts, language style in an abstract, and the sections of an abstract, and common mistakes made in abstract writing. Our last section covers the writing process. If you have learned a lot in this lecture, please do hit like and subscribe below to support us in the creation of free content such as this. We really appreciate it. Let's start with the writing process, rough draft. Have an abstract structure checklist. Write a few sentences for each section of your article, not concise yet. Assemble those sentences. Trim back by removing unnecessary detail, and trim back by editing the language. Have a colleague review or critique your abstract. And lastly, revise. Okay, let's talk about the revision process in more detail. Writing process, revise. First, edit carefully and take your time. Your abstract requires several drafts. Ask a colleague to examine the abstract. Having new sets of eyes to check your abstract can offer new perspectives that you've never seen before. It can also help you detect new errors and better ways to frame your sentences. And now on to our final section. Write Abstracts Better Part 1. Get ideas from other abstracts in peer-reviewed journals and apply them to your abstract. Emulate their style and apply those suitable to your own paper. Write Better Abstracts Part 2. Observe the key points that the author selected to use in their abstracts to be published in venues you want to consider. Learn from the success of other authors. This is a great idea. And finally, Write Better Abstracts Part 3. Have professors, colleagues, and editors, like the ones at Uni-edit, critique your abstract. If you noticed, we've mentioned that last point many times, and for good reason. Asking your peers and professors for feedback is difficult and sometimes even nerve-wracking. but it is an essential part in the paper writing process. Even the most prolific authors ask for help. All right, we did it. Here's a quick recap of what we covered. What is to abstract? Types of abstracts. What is an abstract? Goals of the abstract, keywords and indexing, language, style, length, structure, common mistakes, and then we did an exercise, then talked about the writing process and improvements. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you've enjoyed today's extensive lesson, please smash the like button and subscribe to our channel for more free content. This is just one of many long format lectures that we've designed at Uni-edit to help you write excellent academic content. So come back for more, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!